Welcome to Make Your Mark podcast, where guests share their experiences, insights, and tactics to help you accelerate your business. So, building, scaling, and monetizing your business is made easier. And I will be your host, Suthar. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Make Your Mark podcast. Now, I gotta tell you, we've got an amazing guest for you today. Her name is Jessica Crane. And so you may have heard of her. You may have even seen her on stage with Russell Brunson. Yeah, she's freaking huge, right? When it comes to being in the online space. But how does she get there? How does she help people? These are some of the questions we're going to be asking her on today's episode. So keep tuned because this is going to be a juicy one. Oh my goodness, Jessica. I am so excited for you to be here.
Hi, Kay. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. So there's so many questions I want to ask you, but before we get into the nitty-gritty of your business and how you empower women and all those good things, I would love for you to share with our audience a little bit about how you got to this point in business. Like, what did your journey look like? Because it doesn't happen with a click of a finger, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I suppose my business grew very organically at the beginning.
Okay.
So at the beginning, so my background is hair and beauty. So I had my first job in a salon when I was 12, and I was kind of just looking for any industry that would employ me, because I needed to be financially secure ASAP. As a
Wait,
child.
at 12 years old?
Yeah, my first job. I already had a failed car wash business at 10.
Wait, why did you feel like you needed to be financially stable at that age?
I think that was one of my earliest beliefs, because I grew up around a lot of domestic abuse, a lot of domestic violence, and my goal was to get out, to not be in those environments, to not repeat the pattern, to break those cycles. And I think I just saw, if you are financially independent, you can then go and have your own choice. And have that freedom to choose where you want to be, what you want to do, and all of those things. So the hair and beauty industry is probably one of the only industries that would employ a 12-year-old. Yeah, I kind of found it home and joined that industry and had a job like literally at the earliest age that I could.
Wow. Okay. So from being 12 years old and going into the hair and beauty industry, I mean, you probably had to learn from the very basics to then understanding how business works. So what did that look like for you?
Yeah, so I was always more like, I obviously just went through the process. I did all my hair and beauty and I was in a salon, but I was very much more focused on the business side, even of those businesses. So I was a salon manager by 12. I was managing by 19. I was managing people. I was focused on the targets, the sales. I was teaching for brands like TG and Schwarzkopf, and I was getting paid to go down and teach their audience and things like that. So I was very much more commercial driven. And then I went into education. So I started teaching hair, beauty, and business admin MVQs. So I was an assessor, I was an internal verifier, and I was the centre manager for a private training provider where we delivered government funded training courses. So my job then was very much more to manage the other assessors, your government funding, and making sure that your centre was profitable. So I was kind of doing that, and it was at that point that I went on maternity leave with my daughter. So that was in 2013. So I did I did a consulting degree whilst I was on maternity leave with my daughter. And I kind of thought, I need to decide now what my next steps are, because going back to that role, there's nowhere else for me to go, and you've already reached the limit in
Yeah,
like there's nowhere else for me to go. So
right.
I did the consulting degree, but whilst I was on maternity leave, a lot of the salon owners and business owners that I knew were reaching out to me, and they were like, I know you're on maternity leave, I know you're doing this consulting degree. Could you come and spend the day with me and do this? Could you come and teach me this? Could you? So I very much started to organically grow like a face-to-face consulting model. So
Right.
that's how my business started. And then we took it online in 2016. And that actually happened because I had my son
Yeah.
in March 16. And literally a couple of weeks later in the April, at that time, my husband played professional sport. And he
Mhm.
literally came home and was like, I am being sold to another club. And so we were moving to somewhere I'd never been, didn't know a single person. And he was like, I was like, oh, like, when is this happening? Thinking like in a year, in 2 years, like when the contract runs out. And he was like, no, like now. So he literally went and started commuting, and I had to sell our house and move. And ultimately, because I had a face-to-face business, I essentially almost lost my business overnight. So
Wow.
I took the whole business online, and
Mm.
obviously then we could still retain those customers, but now we've been able to build a global business by making that move and taking it online.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. I want to go back a few steps here, right? Because there was a lot of stuff there. And I want to dig a little bit deeper here. First of all, like going back when you first started in hair and beauty, right? As a young child. And I can see that from what you were telling me, it was just getting out, getting out, getting out from the situation that you were in. But did you ever have, come to a point where you were like, do you know what? This isn't going to happen. No one's going to hire me. I'm just a kid. What the hell am I thinking? Like, how did you go through some of the emotions? And were you having those kind of emotions?
I don't think I was, to be honest. Like, I think
Mm.
sometimes my mindset is it has to work or it has to work. There is no other option. And I think that more people need to have that mindset going into something because
Right.
you can't, there is no other option because you
Mm.
don't want any other outcome. So there is no other option.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Okay. So it was just like that was your goal. You're heading for it. No is no option. There's no plan B. You're gonna make this work. Wow. And
100%.
at that young age as well. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. So you kind of went through step by step, right? You learned all the things you had to. You did different roles and you were focused on the business aspect of it, even as a young age, right? So at what point did you kind of feel like, you know what, I need to take this on my own. I need to build my own stuff. I'm not going to be working for other people. You've done enough roles. What was going through your mind at that point, and what made you feel like, oh my goodness, you know what, I'm ready for this?
Yeah, so when I did the consulting degree,
Mm.
my other option was Ofsted. Like that was only really the next kind of step
Okay.
up, really. And it was very pale male stale. And I was like, this environment is not for me. I thought I'll be fired after like a week.
Oh
I was
no.
like, I don't think this is gonna go well.
Okay.
So, because we'd had obviously Ofsted inspections, like I knew the drill, I knew, but in education, that was really only the next place that I could go. And yeah, if anyone has been, I mean, it might be a little bit different now. This was a good 10, 11 years ago, but
Yeah.
I was like, this is just not for me. So, and the other reason that I went on my own is because there was a lot of people in my environment telling me,
Mm.
I think that a lot of entrepreneurs have that grit in them, and often they
Right.
can be spurred on because people tell them that they can't do something. And
Yes,
you,
absolutely. I want
a
them.
hundred percent, and you kind of go, do you know what? Actually, I am going to do this and I'm going to be really successful because it's really going to piss you off. And when I first told certain people, I'm going to start my own business, I'm going to do this, my family's reaction was, who is ever going to pay you to do that? And I was like, great, this is just what I need because
Mm.
now I already know it's a done deal in my head that I will make multi-millions in this because you've really fucking pissed me off. So the worst thing you can do to somebody who is in that survival gritty mode is tell them that you can't do it. Like, because
Right.
you've just given them everything they need to go and be
Yeah.
successful.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I love that. This is awesome. Okay. So when you kind of started this business, you kind of went for it. It's completely different from working with somebody else. Now you're on your
Mm.
own and you're wearing all of the hats, right?
Yeah.
Were there any things that came to that you faced, I guess, that no one really told you about or you weren't aware of it? What were those things and how did you navigate around them?
I think my biggest first lesson was
Mm.
nailing your ideal client and only working with the people who are aligned with you. So, one of my first clients was a
Yeah.
guy who was an absolute asshole. And I'd worked really hard to, like in the beginning, every client, you're just like, I need any client. I just need a
Yeah.
client. Um, And that's how you are at the beginning, right? Because you don't have the luxury of choice, or you feel like you don't have the luxury of
Right.
choice at that point, right? So I kind of got this client and I was like, yes. And then I was working with him and he was a nightmare. And everything, like values wise, we just were not aligned. And I was like,
Right.
oh my God, like this is a nightmare. So I then actually, like, he was literally one of my first clients. And I had to fire him. And then I was like, in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, we've worked really hard to get this client, and now we're going
Yeah.
to fire. But it actually taught me a great lesson. And
Right.
from that point, like we doubled down on our brand, we doubled down on our message, we doubled down on like we actually, even to this day, we say no to a lot of people and we don't
Yeah.
work with a lot of people as many as we do work with because we're like, if this is not going to be a two-way beneficial relationship, it's just not going to be a good fit for us. And so it was kind of a gift that I didn't appreciate at the time, but it definitely taught me. And if any of your listeners are at the beginning, like, don't be
Yeah.
scared to fire the clients who are not aligned with you because, and I feel like sometimes in business we're sent these little tests, and it's
Yes.
like you've got to pass the test, right? So
Mhm.
if you've got those nightmare clients, it's always the ones that pay the least that are the most pain in the bum, like all of
Yeah.
these things, the ones that are the most demanding, like everything that I am, he was not. And I was like, I am just going to have to uh, deal with this situation, right? So that was
Yeah.
probably one of my first. I was like, I'd worked so hard to get a client and then literally had to do a full 360 and fire him.
So, like, what had happened? There must have been like, was there several different things that was going on? Was there a major thing? And at that point, you were like, screw it, this is not even worth it anymore. I got to get this client gone.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things like we were not aligned in our approach to things. Like he was very fly by the seat of his pants, make it up, and did. I am very organized. I'm very planned. I'm very prepared. Like I will never overpromise and underdeliver. There was just so many values that I was like, I
Mm.
can't put my name to what you're doing because
Oh,
we're just not aligned in that
yeah.
way at all. So yeah, so I was like, I hope you go and find the right person, but I am not the person for that role. And I think that's the thing to think about in your brand is the same for us even now, even with sponsorships, even with all these different elements of our brand, we don't work with anybody who is not aligned to who we are, who we can't proudly say, we collaborate with this person, we work with this person, we champion this person, you know?
Yeah.
So that's something that I learned early on. It was a great lesson, and we still live by that now.
I love that. Oh my goodness. Okay. And so that I guess that is a huge, huge lesson to learn. And I think no matter how many times you hear other people going through that, it doesn't really click until it happens to you. Right? Then
Yeah,
you're kind of like, no, that's it. I'm done. This is not going to happen again. Right? That's too much work, too much anxiety. You lose sleep over that stuff.
yeah.
Um, and so you do have to go through a lot of these hurdles yourself to really, really understand what it all means. So thanks for sharing that. And so tell us a little bit about what it is that you do for female entrepreneurs now. How do you help them? Because I know you take them to like 6 to 7 figures. Is that right?
Yeah, so now our big goal for all of our clients, whether they're in our online courses, coaching programs, our mastermind, our retreats, our events, like our goal is to teach female entrepreneurs how to create generational wealth. So how to have multiple streams of income, not one stream of income, and how are they looking after their future self as well as their current self and their family, their long-term goals. I think sometimes in business we can get trapped in a short-term mindset of, are we all good this week? Are we making the sales this week, this month? Like all of those things. But are you really using this business as the tool and vehicle to create long-term wealth for you, your family, your team, your community? Like, what does all of that look like for you and your business? So that's kind of our goal for all of our clients. And then they all do that in their own different ways. Everybody has different goals. So it could be having an education business, a brick and mortar business, a property company. Like all of our clients have like very diverse portfolios of what they have, and we teach them how to grow and scale that and make and create wealth from it.
I love that. Now, if someone is just starting out in business, right? Like at what stage of your business would you know you're ready for, generational wealth? Everybody wants it, but it's got to be something that you work up to. Is that right?
Yeah, so what I would, if you were just starting out, there's a few different
Mm.
things that you can do, right? So even from day one of my business, I structured it from a financials and a systems point that it would be the same whether it was doing £1,000 a month or £1 million a month. So the
Okay.
financial systems are the same. Okay. So you need to make sure that you've got all of those things in because all that's going to change then is the amount. So if you've
Okay.
already got a system for your VAT, great. All that's going to change is you pay more VAT. If you've already got a
Right.
system for your tax, all that's going to change is that you pay more tax. If you've already got a system for what you put into a pension, you're just going to increase the amount. Like, and then as you increase that sales and revenue and your business is your core business, your first business has got to the point where it can pretty much run without you or with more limited need from you, you can then
Right.
start, because you've got profit in that business, you can then start a second income. And this is where people decide, is that something more passive? Is that something more active? And you can decide what is the right thing for you. But really, you just want to start with what that picture looks like. And then as you get more income, you just increment up those other areas. Um, so that's kind of what we teach is the wealth cycle. So we teach that cycle, where you are now and what you
Mhm.
ultimately want that to look like. And then you just keep reviewing it and you just change, right, well, now we're doing 50K months. We can do increase this and we can do this, and we've got spare capital for this. Now we're doing
Right.
70K months, so we can change this here and change that there, or wherever you start, because I do think that that's almost a limiting belief is people think, oh, focus on being wealthy when I'm wealthy. And you're like, you
Right.
won't become wealthy by thinking that that's a future problem. That's a now problem. Like you have to create it now in order for
Mm.
you to then have that problem. Otherwise, you're never going to have
Right.
wealth problems if you've not done anything to create the wealth.
Oh, I love that. Okay, now you have built this entire empire. You have built generational wealth, and now you're helping so many other female entrepreneurs do the same. The thing is, you've also had a family whilst doing this. How have you been able to juggle and manage your personal life with building this empire?
I think, I mean, sometimes I do ask myself that question because it is always, and we've just had the 6 week school holidays, like the juggle is
Yes.
real. Like the juggle is real.
Hmm.
But what is really key is having systems, processes, and a team. So you want to increase your sales so you can afford a team. So that then you can delegate some of the things like the everyday tasks that need doing to your team so you can focus on the growth and the leverage parts of your business that need to be you. So it's really, and just managing your time so well,
Mm.
like being super organized and managing your time. And some days that means for me, like we have our team meetings at 7 a.m. Most of my meetings are done before the day is even started. And that's so that it happens, that suits me, it suits my team. So yeah, it's having the systems and processes, your team members as, get them as you can afford to grow and scale and acquire those team members, but make sure that they're doing income producing tasks as well so that you can afford team. That's a
Yeah,
big thing that we focus on in my business. Um, and yeah, and then, but there are times that it is a juggle. Like
yeah,
you're always going to have that.
for sure. Oh my goodness. Okay. And the thing is, as you scale up, there's other new problems that you've always faced as well, right? So it doesn't ever stop. There's just new challenges every time. And they say new level, new devil,
A
right? So
hundred
that's
percent, yeah.
right.
And
Um,
sometimes it was easier when you have a smaller business because you have less responsibility. Like the more you have,
you're gonna start putting people off now, Jessica.
but it is true. Like I think people, because I think when you scale, you think, oh, if I just get to 50K months, if I just get to 70K months, if I just get here, you think it's going to get easier. But
Mm.
it doesn't get easier in some senses because you have more responsibility. You've got a team to pay. You've got to follow through on your systems and your processes and all of these things, your legals, like you've got because you've got to sustain that business now because you've got people relying on you. So the the pros and cons just become different. Um, and it does
Mm.
become more responsibility. Whereas a lot of people think if you've got a higher generating business, it's easier. I mean, the lifestyle, everything else that comes with it is great, but the response, and I suppose really what that means is you have to step up as a leader more. Like you have to
Right.
be the leader in that
Yeah,
business, at those levels.
definitely. Oh my goodness. Now, I want to go back to the beginning when we first started this episode. And I mentioned, right, that I did check up on you on socials. I've been stalking you out, right? Now, I saw a couple of things here. One of the things is I saw you on stage with Russell Brunson holding your award, right? Tell us how that happened, and how did you feel when you actually got up on stage with him?
Yeah, so I've been in Russell's world for quite a long time. Coaching wise, courses, programs. I would say Russell Brunson and Alex Hormozy are probably the two best marketers that are alive on this planet right now.
Hmm.
So if you don't follow them, you must go and follow them. So the Two Comma Club Award. So we use ClickFunnels, which is Russell's software company. And when we hit £1 million revenue through one funnel. So it has to be through one specific funnel
Oh, okay.
that you hit that revenue. Then you get a Two Comma Club award, and it's called a Two Comma Club because there's two commas in £1 million, right?
Right.
Um, so he runs an event every year called Funnel Hacking Live. Um, and we've just been to the last one in Vegas. And yeah, and obviously they can see it on their software, they can see how
Right.
many sales you've done. So then their team are like, oh, at our next event, we'd love to award you with the Two Comma Club award. So then you submit your evidence, your side as well, to say, yep, this is
Okay.
correct. And then you go up on stage, collect your award, meet Russell, have your photo. Um, and yeah, so that was one of our it is always a big revenue goal, I think, in business when
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it wasn't our first million because it had to be through that one funnel.
Okay.
But,
Right.
I think for you to hit those revenue numbers, and especially for me, because obviously when I started my entrepreneurial journey, my family
Yeah.
said to me, "Who's ever going to pay you?" And I was like, "Well, actually, a few people." And it kind of just you have to set these milestones for yourself in your business because you don't work for somebody else. Nobody else is setting you goals. Nobody else
Yeah.
is keeping you on course and on track and accountable. And I suppose that's what I love about our environment is people set big goals similar to that. Um, and then they have everything in their environment that they need to hit them.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have our own. We have 100 and 250K net profit awards that we give our
Wow.
clients. And that's because when you've got that big net profit, you can do
Yeah.
something with it to invest, like property investments or whatever you want to do with it.
Mm.
So that becomes a really big milestone for our customers in our audience as well.
Oh, that is amazing. That is amazing. I love that. The other thing that I saw on your socials. Now, is this true? Because I wasn't too sure from the post, like, was that like a funny thing you were doing, or if it was a serious thing? But I saw that you started a clothing brand. Is that right?
Yeah, so we're launching it this
Oh.
September actually. So
Mm.
we yeah, so the launching of the clothing brand, the clothing is every purchase there is a donation to Women's Refuge. So,
Hmm.
yes, we work with 6, 7, 8-figure female entrepreneurs who are, in our courses, coaches, programs, masterminds, VIP days, retreats, and all this like really amazing, exciting stuff. And we also wanted to have a product that gives back to women across the board, okay? Women who are fleeing domestic abuse, fleeing domestic violence. How can our company and our business give equity back to those who need it as well? So that's really the value and the drive behind the clothing range. So yeah, so that is launching September. So we've got our launch event on the 16th of September, and then we'll be
Oh.
going live just after that. So yeah, that's been a labor of love for about a year. So it's amazing what actually goes into building a clothing line. Um, but
Because
we're so
building an
excited.
empire isn't enough. You had to build a clothing brand as well, right? You don't have enough going on as it is, Jessica. Oh my goodness. I'm just wondering what you got going on next. What's the plan for the next project you got going on, you know?
Yeah, so we've got
Um,
our property company as well. So we're kind of growing that. And
yeah.
then next is really going to be focusing going from UK to US, and so on. So yeah, that's what we're focused on at the moment.
Wow. Okay. So we basically going global. And there's a lot of people that I've actually spoken to that is their next step. Like they've dominated the UK market and now their next thing is the US and just going global. So this is awesome. I love it. So now Jessica, at this point, I know people are probably thinking, oh my goodness, how do I get hold of Jessica? How do I connect with her? How do I find out more about what she does and get involved? So where can they go to connect with you?
Yeah, awesome. So our main Instagram is Jessica Crane. If you come and follow us there, because you'll see everything being announced, when everything, the clothing line, the events, coaching, courses, all of those things. And our new brand, CEO Collective. Again, that's where we're going to be focusing on the clothing and the events. And yeah, you'll see everything that we're doing will be across those two socials.
Oh, amazing. Guys, look, go ahead, stalk her out, right? Go and do what I did, right? Go and check out what she's doing, what's going on, because I guarantee you she's not stopping anytime soon. There's going to be new things coming ahead, right? So go ahead and check out what she's doing and be in her world. She's absolutely amazing and she walks the talk. You can tell already. Jessica, thank you so much for coming on and oh my goodness, so many golden nuggets in such a short amount of time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kay.
Thanks for listening to Make Your Mark podcast at www.makeyourmarkpodcast.com. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get this and every other episode that comes out. We have lots of great stuff coming, so make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss it. And thank you in advance for all the reviews and comments. I appreciate it so much. And I look forward to serving you in next week's episode.